For more than 2 decades, I have written in a diary almost every single day. And guess what? I saved them all. Each week, I will be reading from one of these archives and getting to know myself from the lens of my 10, 16, 25, and 36-year-old self. We'll explore big topics such as body image, queerness, divorce, addiction, mental health, and friendship. I'll read cringy poems and attempt to find compassion for the painful tenderness of my younger self. Join the drama of me and my guests as we explore our boy-crazy, closeted, angsty selves, one stupid page at a time. Hello, beautiful humans. It's been a while since I sat in my little podcast studio. I hope you can hear me okay. Every single episode, I'm working on making the audio better and just trying new things out as we go along. I am picking up where I left off. The last couple diaries that I read were heading into the summer of 8th grade, and this one picks up in August of 2002 when I am just on the cusp of entering high school and have started drinking and smoking, and I am about to, I guess, have my first real kiss, my first boyfriend. I am graduating from, public school, grade school, and heading into high school. I'm going to just kind of set the scene for you all a little bit and say that during this time, my parents are going through something. They're going through something, and I am not even really picking up on a lot of what's going on with them, but they're fighting a lot, and my mom is taking more time away from the house. My mom's job involved a lot of travel, and she was away a lot, but all of a sudden, when I'm in high school, she's starting to take these long, month-long or 2-month-long trips away from the family, and it's kind of just me and my dad and my sister to kind of fend for ourselves. And when she's home, things in the house are really volatile. Not necessarily just, because of my mom. I think it was because my mom and my dad had this conflict, and another thing was at play was that, my sister and I were both teenagers, lots of hormones raging, my parents trying to figure it out, so there's lots of chaos at the house, and I am developing some really severe obsessive compulsive tendencies. And one of the things that I really just cannot get along with my mom about is her lack of cleanliness. And every time she's home, it's like a tornado has gone through the house. And when she's away, I do this big deep clean of the whole house. And then things are kind of calm in my head. I'm getting very, very into list making. I'm also starting every diary entry with 4 check-ins. I have my weight, how I'm feeling today, something I'm glad I did today, and something I regret doing today. I'm starting every single entry. In fact, I've printed out those 4 questions on probably some word, a word processor, printed it out, and I've taped it to the top of each page of my diary, trying to make a little workbook for myself. So I'm getting really into list making and organization. My OCD tendencies are becoming more and more intense as sort of time goes on in this diary. So that's kind of what's my home life is like. That's what's going on at home. There's one entry, I don't think I'm going to read it, but there's one really strange thing that I mentioned, which is that my mom smells like cigarettes. So I think my mom is so stressed she started smoking, which was an unusual occurrence. And my dad is kind of hermiting as much as he can. He's not really a present figure that much in my life. Every time I interact with my dad, we fight, we scream at each other. My sister and I are close, but we're also going through our own struggles. If you listen to my last episode, we had both been assaulted by the same man, or boy, I should say, and we never really talked about it, but there was like some blame and shame kind of swirling around between us. So it is an intense time, to say the least. So that's the scene I'm going to set. That's what this entry is filled with, and I am excited to get into it and talk about 2002. So my first recording here, my weight is 116 pounds. I am feeling indifferent today. Something I'm glad I did today is I didn't eat an egg. And something I regret doing today is eating an apple. Okay, so again, that is a little insight into my world. So August 21st, 2002, book. That's how I'm starting these days, book. I got my high school class list today. Rachel called. I have 2 classes, my first one, English, and my last one, gym, with her. And Nicole, which should be mildly interesting. I haven't called anyone else yet. I'm not nervous about high school. It's hard to explain the weird thoughts that I have, like kind of the beginning of a deja vu. Anyway, I've got a barbecue to go to. This whole book is really just me like navigating young life. The next entry is I went over to Katie's around 7:30. I have some classes with her and also quite a few with Kevin. We stole a pack of big red gum. And then after I leave Katie's house, I meet my sister at a party at 9:45. So it's just like this interesting dynamic of like being this young person who's just like I said in my last episode, being this young person who's like pasting photo collages in her diary and using glitter and worried about normal kid stuff, and then being thrust into this world of like drinking a lot and starting to use drugs and abuse. And it's just this real shock to my system, as I'm sure is understandable, but I think it would be a shock to any young person's system. It's like there's this list that's literally, it's like in red and blue pen alternating colors, and it's like in purple marker, good things that happen this summer and bad things that happen this summer. So some of the good things I've listed are I started a new friendship with Jeremy, going walking with Katie, talking to Kyle Burgers, going out with my sister, going to Katie's cottage, going to Toronto, camping, going to Canada's Wonderland, spending time with Jason. And then bad things that happen this summer. Letting Jeremy in because he can hurt me. That night Dad got really mad, crying so much, gaining weight. The night by the fire with Al. Lying to my mother, smoking weed and getting drunk. So it just really shows this place that I'm in, of this extreme dichotomy of lives that I'm living simultaneously. The next entry is August 24th. Jenny and I went to see Blue Crush last night. Do you guys remember that movie, Blue Crush? It was like a surfing movie that has, I can't remember the name of that actress. What is the name of that actress? Anyways, I don't know if y'all have seen the movie, but it was a big movie when I was a teenager. It was so good. I wish I had a body like that actress. She was really pretty and it seemed effortless. I'm working on it though. I do 100 sit-ups, 12 push-ups, and 10 minutes of skipping twice a day, every day. I hope it works. I'm getting sick of looking the way I do. I've been eating okay. I went shopping for back to school supplies today. I didn't try on any clothes because I didn't want to look at myself. And it's interesting because so many of these little progress reports at the top list, when I say something I'm glad I did today, it's like I walked a long distance, or I went for a run, or I avoided eating something. And then the regrets are always like that I ate blank. And it's usually like I ate an apple, or I ate some candy, or I ate a bagel. Like, it's just the fact that I didn't see this as something problematic, or that nobody in my life really knew about that, or maybe they did. I actually don't really know, because this exploration of these diaries and my disordered eating over the years is a very new theme in my life. It's something that I've been really unwilling or unable to explore before. I mean, I think I'm still quite unwilling, but it's become so glaringly obvious and such a unavoidable wound that I'm starting to realize that I have to kind of start looking at it. But it's what I am reflecting on today is that I didn't realize that this was such a problem, such an issue, such a big, overwhelming obsession of mine when I was this young, when I was this age. Saying that, I'm like, I don't know when I thought it started, but I certainly didn't think that I was so preoccupied when I was this age. I don't remember weighing myself often, but I must have, because every day I'm writing down my weight, and if it goes up or down a pound. And I'm so many of these entries, like the one I just read, are just about my body image, and I say I'm scared. I don't want to try on clothes because I don't want to look in the mirror. And I don't know what that's about, because I am a, typical, relatively scrawny, athletic 14-year-old. And maybe there's some dysmorphia going on here where I don't see what others see. I don't necessarily write about that, but I can certainly feel the shock of seeing photos of myself from that age and thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was so hard on this little angel, So that's been challenging. But the next entry is a couple days later, and it's about this barbecue. The barbecue went wonderful. Katie came and picked me up. We got there, saw Kevin, Mark, and Alice. We compared schedules. I'm actually relieved to know I have a lot of classes with a lot of them. I saw Chris and Jared, and I met a new guy named Tanner, Kendra's little brother. He seemed cool. He was dressed in all black and had the other shirt. So Tanner, shout out to Tanner. I know Tanner's not listening, but shouting him out anyways. He was my first friend. My first friend that I made in high school. I told him that, I think when 3 years later, I was like, you were the first cool person that I met. So shout out Tanner. So I went out with Katie after. We all went to Bonnie's with Jeremy, and then Nathan showed up. We went to Marlene's, the park across from it. These are all staple, nostalgic, pins from my childhood. So Bonnie's is the little diner that's on the main street of my very small town. Doesn't exist anymore. It was only around for a couple years, but the owners were really nice to us. They smoked weed, they were hip. George's is also a diner, but it's a little bit more, it's more of a restaurant but it serves greasy spoon food. And Katie and I go and hang out there all the time and get milkshakes. Marlene's is the variety store. There's 2 variety stores in my town. There's Marlene's, which is kind of not fancier, but it's more diverse, and it has a little takeout pizza and sub counter, and it's where you go when you need most things in town. It's still there, but it's got different owners in it. And then there was another place called the Country Cupboard, which doesn't exist anymore. Or no, that's not true. It does exist, but it's something else now too. But that was like the place where like kids like to go because they had an ice cream counter and penny candies. So these are like our hangout spots. Also like the park across from Marlene's and like the church front yard that was down the street. These are places that like are little points of nostalgia from my childhood. So anyways, then on our way walking back to her house, we had our arms linked and we laughed the whole way. I said, Katie, I can see by today that we definitely won't be in the same crowd. You're so friendly and I'm just not. But I want to stay your friend. So we're going to keep being friends. You don't have to want it, but I'm still going to be your friend. And when you get a restraining order, I'm still going to be your friend. LOL, good night with her. I think what that story is really highlighting for me is because I'm about to start high school, and I can see my life, or I can sense that there's these like two different versions of me out in the world, and they're both really important to me. There's this kid that gets to like link arms with my best friend and go eat penny candy and like laugh as we're walking home. And there's this other version of me that's like desperate to be a grown-up, that's, like I said, drinking and smoking, and is probably gonna become a more predominant part of me as I enter high school. And I don't really have anywhere to talk about this like split other than in my diary. I don't think I've expressed it, but I think I'm trying to express it to my friend. Like I'm trying to say, hey, I'm worried that there won't be room for you in this other version of me. And I don't think that that's that unique of a struggle, but for me, I certainly felt quite alone in it. And the next few episodes as I'm in high school, there are ruptures that happen between this more grown-up version of myself and my past self. The friends that I have to kind of leave behind because they're not like where I am, and there's a lot of breaks and ruptures and letting go. And that's always been so hard for me. I mean, I think it's hard for everybody. I think that that's just life. But one of the ones that I grab onto and try to hold onto is this friendship with Katie. And it's probably, there's times where I grasp on too tightly, and there's other times where I push away, and we'll talk all about that as not in this particular diary, but in the next ones. But in this particular entry that I just read, I am blissfully like unaware of what our future holds. And I thought it was really beautiful, and I love to read that. In the next entry, Katie and I go to Wally World. Do y'all have Wally Worlds where you're from? I don't know if that's like a thing or if it's just a thing where I live, but we have this place called Wally World that's like a big water park. And it was really fun. Like, I just write about how much silliness there was and how much fun we had and how easy it was. And I say at the end of the entry, I've been with these people my whole life. These are the times I'll miss dearly, but also the times I'll look back on with no regrets, only fond memories. So for me, this time, I know that it's precious because I know it won't last, which, I mean, is very emo, but also very, very me. Then there's a few entries that are really short, and it's just about my first couple days of high school. I'm definitely concerned about what I'm going to wear and like how my hair looks and if my sister's going to talk to me or shun me. There's an entry where I'm also like developing crushes. Like I have a crush on I say, I talked to Austin Burlett, who has got to be one of the cutest boys I've ever seen, which made me feel sad in my heart because several years ago, Austin and I were friends. We became friends. And several years ago, he died. He had severe mental health issues and took his own life. And it was such a shock to the community and like my class, you know. It was long after high school, but a lot of us stayed in touch. And I think about him often. And I smiled really big when I saw his name come up in this diary several times because I think I had a little crush. And he was so cute. He was a skater boy, and he had like olive skin and brown hair, like brown, blondish, light brown hair and brown eyes and really clear skin and a really nice smile. And he sat behind me in French class and we talked. I wouldn't even say we were flirting because I think he didn't seem that interested in girls at that time. He was more interested in doing well in school and skateboarding and his friends. But I think we became friends, and I was really sad, really, really sad, and disturbed when I learned about his death. It shook, like I said, my hometown and my community, and everyone who was like in my grade who knew him, I'm sure had the same reaction of just complete disbelief to learn he was so unwell. I don't know who started it. I think it was a combination of like his friends and his parents started a event that raised money for mental health organizations. That was like a big camp out, and everybody like pitched tents in the park and camped out and skated and in his honor. I attended it a couple times actually, and every time I do a mental health walk, I always do it in part in Austin's name because, like I said, he was a good friend, and I wasn't expecting to talk about Austin today, but I hope you're resting in peace, my friend. And just so you know, I thought you were super cute in high school. Don't think I ever told him that. I'm sure he knew. But anyways, okay, I'm going to take a little breather. Okay, I'm back. Thank you. The next couple of entries, so say the first like 3 weeks of September when I'm starting high school, my diary entries get super chaotic. I think I'm like meeting so many new people. I'm feeling so self-conscious. Things at home are like really rough. And this split that I mentioned earlier is just getting like bigger and wider and sadder and harder to navigate. Also, like my hormones are raging. Every day I write about a new crush I have on someone. I have a crush on Austin. I have a crush on Jared. I have a crush on Sarah. I have a crush on Jody. Like it's just kind of never ending, these people that I'm like trying to impress. And also this comes up just a few days into high school, September 6th. Book. I feel fat. I'm so tired of this. There are so many thin girls at school. I don't want to be average or medium. I want to be thin, thin, thin. No more of this. I can tell from the next couple entries that my eating disorder has been the like gasoline on a slow burning fire. And for the next week or so, I essentially like try not to eat. Like I try to eat as little as possible. I am writing about it. I'm not going to read those entries because I just don't want to, but there is a day, the 17th, where I actually faint. I faint and I like hit my shoulder on the wall and it hurts. And so this is after I get home because I get sent home. So book, I haven't cried from physical pain in a long time. What does that say? Job? Make this day so much worse. Sorry, I can't read that. I haven't cried from physical pain in such a long time. I fell. I don't want anyone to know the reason. I got called down to the office today to talk about yesterday. As I was sitting in the office, I just mouthed back to Mrs. Smith. I wondered if this is really what I wanted, but I just couldn't find a way out of it. Then I skipped third period. Bad idea because Mr. Pollard saw me. So I got called down during fourth. I have a detention with him tomorrow. Mr. Heller talked to me too. He stopped me in the hallway and said, "You don't strike me as someone who would want to spend 4 years in high school with a bad reputation." And I guess I don't. It was just a shitty day. So, yeah, I'm going through it. I don't write anything about if my parents ever found out why I fainted or if they were concerned. I don't have any memory of that, so I am unsure of like what the result of that was. But I am not eating much. I am binging sometimes on Nutella. That comes up as the something I regret today often, is like a spoon of Nutella. Nutella, I haven't had it in so long. Probably be a very triggering food, if I'm being honest. Okay, so September 29th, I'm skipping ahead a bit. Honestly, the entries in between they're so chaotic. They're hard to read. I'm writing really fast. Then this happens on the 29th. Sometime around 4 last night, I called Katie. She had Courtney, Nathan, and Jeremy over. I was about to ask if I could join them when she said, "Did you call for something?" So I cried, and then guess what I did? I didn't want to think anymore, so I fell asleep. Fuck, what's wrong with me? And what's wrong with her? God, I hope she didn't do this on purpose. That would be so cruel. I list this, how I'm feeling today, is guilty, regretful, and sad. Like I'm having all of these hard friendship things happen, right? Like these, teenage angst. That's why I called this podcast the Angsty Pod, for sure. Okay. Sometime in October, I get a new crush. His name's Steve. How do I describe Steve? Steve looks like Nick Lachey from 98 Degrees then. So, like, zoom out 20 years. Just go Google Nick Lachey in 2022. He is my boyfriend. He wears, like, tank tops exclusively. He's not, I mean, how muscular can you be when you're like 14? But he's like fit. He's got like this slicked forward bangs, like resting on the forehead kind of haircut. He's beautiful. He often wears like a chain necklace with, I think, a cross on it. I can't remember if there was a cross, but anyways, I'm crushing hard on this boy, and things are about to get really interesting. So October 24th, it's 3:34 in the morning, and I just got off the phone with Steve. Steve is quite a good looking fellow indeed. Nice hair, brown eyes, amazing body. I'm not sure why this good looking boy gave up his girlfriend of 6 months or toothpick thin Nicole for me. And I'm not sure if when he tells me I'm pretty, he means it. I'm not sure if he wants me to be his girlfriend, but for now, Steve's the guy who knows just enough about me to make me worried, but who everyone else knows little enough to keep me sane. The crush comes to a head when the school dance happens, which I think is like the next day. The dance. It was actually really fun. I tried learning how to dance unsuccessfully. I danced with this guy, Scott, a little, but I had my arms crossed over my chest, not around him. Like, that is hilarious. Can you imagine? Clearly I wasn't vibing with this Scott guy. But then there was the moment. I melted. I danced with Steve. It was so amazing. He had his shirt unbuttoned and I could see his body and I noticed all his good features. He has a great sense of humor too. Okay, like I can't handle this entry. For the next many entries, I'm consuming Steve and his affection for me like it's fucking candy. He is the balm on the horrible September that I had. All of my worries melt away. I forget about like my friendship ruptures. I forget about my mom. I even forget about my weight for a minute. Here's the entry from our first kiss. And this is my first like real, I would say this is my first like real kiss. I've pecked, like, you know, as a kid you get pecked. I've also been drunk and had someone like force a kiss on me, but this is like my first real, I want this kiss and this kiss is happening. So this is November 1st. Book. I didn't know one person was capable of making me so nervous, making the pit of my stomach ache, and making my hands shake unstoppably. I didn't know a guy like Steve could make a girl like me smile so much. I didn't know my smile could come from that deep. I didn't know a kiss was supposed to be that soft. I didn't know that when two lips melt, I'd forget that everything was wrong with me and the world. I didn't know, even now, writing about it at the end of the day, that my heart still could race a little. Wow. So I am like swooning over Steve. And I'm feeling myself being a little bit reserved. He's like been asking me to be his girlfriend, and I've been like hesitant for some reason. I get into it a little bit more, but like I'm scared of losing my identity. I'm scared of, I think, dating a boy because I'm very into girls. I'm scared of losing him, I'm sure. I also don't fully trust Steve. I think he might be too good for me. So I think it's like I've seen a lot of movies where like the hot guy likes the unpopular girl and then like it's all like a scam. And I'm worried that that's actually our dynamic, but he persists. And then on November 9th after school, I talked to Steve and Ben for a while, and then Steve and I went for a walk to the mill pond. We went around some of it, talked about his ex, about how I don't like to make eye contact, and about how I smoke weed, which I'm not sure is going to be a problem for him. Then on the way back around, we sat on some stairs real close and talked some more. He was trying to get me to look at him to see my eyes. I eventually showed him and told him that he makes me very nervous, so much so that my stomach hurts and my legs shake. Anyways, we kissed for a bit, and it was exactly how I wanted it. Exactly. And we held hands and talked some more. on the way back. So yeah, I'm in a little bit of a uneasy bliss, which I mean could be the name of my next book, but yeah, it's first real boyfriend territory here, guys. The aforementioned conflict or fight that I had with Katie is all but cleared up. I'm not sure how or why, but it's a Saturday afternoon and I've got nothing to do. Being with Katie the last few days, so much understanding and talking and being together, it feels so safe. I don't feel that way with anyone else. In the back of my mind, I guess, I kind of always feel like the person I'm with wants to be somewhere else with someone else. But with Katie, it's so familiar. We've been doing this for 7 years, but yet it's so refreshing to walk around, laugh, make inside jokes, and feel no regrets. Naturally, I've been thinking about Steve today, how last night was just so perfect, too good to be true. Too good it scares me. Maybe he doesn't make me nervous. Maybe he makes me scared. I've used a lot of ink and brain power, thinking and talking and writing about him. He's great. He's a great, good-looking, nice, funny, sensitive, perfect guy staring me right in the eyes. And now that I've had the pleasure of meeting him, flirting with him, talking with him for hours on the phone, kissing him, I want even more. And every time we kiss, I never want the kiss to end. Every time we do kiss, I can't wait for the next. Am I a normal teenager with raging hormones? Is that all he is? All I know is I like him a lot. I like when he talks to me, when he's close to me, and when his hands are on me. I finally have someone. I don't need to be alone. So what am I so scared of? And that entry, I mean, it's really interesting that I liked Steve so much because I don't actually remember the liking him part. I remember the anxiety part and wanting to end things with him. And I also remember when we broke up, I acted like I didn't like him. And I think if you were to like ask people from my life at that time, no one would be like, oh yeah, you liked him so much. Because I was very guarded and distant to the outside world. It was only to my diary that I really told my true feelings. And I mean, I can see from that entry that I was really open to love and being held. And one thing I liked about Steve was that he was a very gentle person. He was a very, like when we kissed, it was soft. And I mean, later there's kisses I have with men and women and boys and girls that weren't soft. And I think I that's what I liked about him, was that there was like a real softness to Steve. I mean, unfortunately, I blew that up. I'm about to get into those entries where the relationship ends and the chaos of my brain. So let's go down that rabbit hole, shall we? All right, so a little later in November 22nd, I'm out on the town. I'm out after school. I'm not getting into as much trouble as I was in the summer, because the group that I'm with now, like the people I was hanging out in the summer were all like my sister's age and older. And they were all like really heavy into drugs and drinking. And now I'm like hanging around a bunch of 14 and 15-year-olds that are like maybe starting to get into like a little drinking, but like they're pretty innocent. Like we're playing sports and doing our homework. So this is actually very good for me. I say Steve and I went outside for a little bit and just hugged and kissed against a wall. It was exactly what I wanted. Everything I wanted it to be and more. I can still see him and smell him and taste him, and I still feel safe and warm. I love that. I love that for me. A couple days later, I had a pretty good day, and the only bad thing that happened was in French. I was at the computers with Kevin and Mark, laughing as we usually do, and all of a sudden, they became so cold. I was so upset, I logged off and went to the front of the room. They approached me, and I felt like crying. I told them to leave me alone. I wasn't mad, I was just so sad and hurt. So, clearly I'm very sensitive. I'm very emotional. Some might say angsty. A little bit later, there's a dance at school. It's called like the semi-formal. And I think it's in December. And it's kind of like the last big event before we all go on Christmas break. And it's like prom for people in grade 9. It's a big deal. And I'm, of course, going with my boyfriend, Steve. I have these 2 pages side by side where one says semi, the prediction, and the other is semi, the actual night. So, like, I write this, like, kind of beautiful, like, almost poem about, like, what I predict the night will be, or, like, I guess what I want the night to be. And, like, the night is... I just want to, like, look deeply into Steve's eyes and, like, kiss on the dance floor. And I also predict that, like, you know, I might see one of my other crushes with their person and feel hurt. But, like, I just think Steve's going to smell so good and look so good, and we're going to press our bodies together. I literally write that. I end it with, yeah, that's how it'll be. And then semi, the actual night, I say... Me and Steve danced a couple of times. I think he was bored or disappointed with me. I like his touch so much, just swaying and being close. We kissed a little and then a little more outside. There was a little bit of eye contact, but my prediction wasn't achieved. I don't know. I feel slightly disappointed. It was fun being with him in that setting, just because we had an excuse to hold each other close. Sighs. If only I wasn't so nervous every other time we are alone. So, something else is happening in this entry, dear listeners. Steve and I have the opportunity to spend some time alone every once in a while, and Steve is a teenage boy. And so Steve wants to, like, make out and probably, like, feel my boobs and maybe, you know, put his fingers down my pants or whatever. And I'm very shy. I'm not ready to have... Like, it's weird because I know fairly viscerally that I am not ready to have, like, a sexual experience with him beyond, like, kissing. And I'm also, like, so horny for him. Like, it's really weird. And I also know in the back of my mind, I have this, like, back pocket knowledge of if I had a drink, this would be easier. Which I know is a really fucked up thought for a 14-year-old girl to have. But it is in the back of my mind of, like, this is so much harder without alcohol to, like, let go and kind of, like, be okay with him touching me. I have that knowledge and I write about that knowledge, and it freaks me out that I, like, have this knowledge and that I am, like, the self-awareness, like, freaks me out. Then on December 22nd, I start my entry with, oh, wow, I don't know what to think or what to feel, or, oh, God. I was talking to Steve on the phone, and I said, hold on, but I still held the phone to my ear and held my breath. He said my name to see if I was there, but I didn't say anything. And then he said, Yoda, I love you so much. I wish I could tell you. I don't even know what to think. So again, there's this like push and pull of like this boy, as much as I like him and I want to like get closer to him, I'm also like not ready for the things that he's ready for. And it kind of sends me into a little bit of like a spiral and a panic a little bit. The spiral is not helped by the fact that a few days after that, I am home from school for 2 weeks on Christmas holidays, and my mom is home because it's Christmas and New Year's, and things at the house are really bad. I also start smoking a little bit of weed. I spend a lot of that Christmas holiday smoking weed and then journaling my thoughts. And I'm also not sleeping well at all. There's an entry that I write, obviously, while I'm stoned that says, "Guess what I had for dinner tonight? Potato skins. Can you believe that? Taste bud arousal. Why am I writing so big? I wish someone would just jab my eyes out with forks so I could go to sleep, or at least give me some sleeping pills." So yes, chaotic. There's like so much happening between Steve and I as well, where I am pulling away as he, pushes forward. He is continuously, we're playing this game where I put him on hold. I put the phone on hold so like I can hear him, but he can't hear me, and I just listen to him profess his love for me. But he won't tell me, and I definitely won't tell him how I feel about him at all. Which is kind of fucked up, but also like I have no idea what to do. I have no idea what to do in this dynamic. I end this diary at the end of, it's the end of January, so I guess we won't get into my breakup with Steve because I'm a clever chickadee and I break up with Steve on my birthday, which is February 18th, because if I break up with him on my birthday, he can't get mad at me, is what I decide. But this entry ends on this journal ends on January 22nd. So I'm back in school, but I'm just kind of recovering from the spiral of the last month or so. Tyler hugged me today. Jared looked adorable. I spent a little time looking at Steve. Last night he asked me if I like him less now than I did a month ago. I'm feeling the same way about myself. Even though I've been jogging and doing sit-ups and eating better, I still hate so much about myself. My lopsided eyes, my skin, my hair, my chest, my stomach, my thighs, my back, my sides, my feet. I'm fake. I'm annoying. I contradict everything. I smoke too much. I'm undevoted. Ugh. I'm listening to Eminem, and being around Nicole today is probably making me feel so inadequate. Teenagers should not be allowed to listen to Eminem. Like, for reals. We've already got enough. We've already got enough. I'm going to end this episode by backtracking just a little bit and reading the entry that I wrote on January 1st. I'm still somebody to this day who gets real reflective around New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and I really like to do these long, rambling journal entries about like the year past and the year ahead. I think I've done it every year since I was about 10. And 2002 was no different. So this entry starts on 2003, January 1st. And it just starts with things I've been thinking about. I'm going to preface this by saying this is maybe the angstiest thing that's ever been written by anyone. I am full of hormones and self-loathing and self-doubt and a bit of hope. A dash of hope. I bet I could count up the compliments I've received this year, and I bet I wouldn't deserve a single one of them. It warms my heart to hear people say that I am a good person. But I don't know how much I deserve those things. I feel fake sometimes. I've always known I was a good actress, but sometimes I think I abuse that. I use it for pity and sympathy. Two things I've discovered are a great way to make friends. And I can't help but wonder how I even make friends in the first place. I mean, my personality has so many holes in it. I don't shine. I'm dull and boring and bossy and conceited. And everyone wants to look good, and sometimes I just don't. Sometimes I just feel like I don't deserve people to love me. And I don't know why certain people automatically want to get to know me and love me before they've met me. Sometimes I wonder if my tiredness is normal. I try to juggle so many things and versions of myself at the same time. A year ago today, I was so different. January 3rd of last year, I think Jenny and I were most likely in a screaming match. I bet I said something along the lines of, "You're throwing away your life away for boys who don't even deserve it." And she probably argued until she cried. Sometimes I wonder why she gave me a second chance, as I know as well as the next person that I don't deserve it. Sometimes I wonder what anyone sees in me. The guys that have had crushes on me, sometimes I wonder if the ugly girl I see in the mirror actually isn't so bad. And then sometimes I wonder if I'd be better off without all these people loving me at all. Maybe I'd be less tired. Maybe the more I add to the mix, the more crazy I become. Maybe I liked having drama so much, I made a little too much. And sometimes I wonder if I can handle it. Since January last year, all the people who I thought would be gone aren't. They still take my time and energy and make me more tired, and they still love me. And that's selfish, because I have enough friends to last me 2 lifetimes, and all I can do is sit here and wonder. Oh, my goodness. That was a lot. That entry was, that entry and that whole journal was actually a lot. All right, in true the Angsty Pod tradition, I'm going to be ending on a really weird and wacky poem that's maybe not weird and wacky at all. This is a poem I wrote, I think, sometime in the year 2002 or perhaps 2003. It's titled, I Want Someone. I want someone to love my smell, someone to always mean well, someone's hand to hold, someone to embrace when I am cold, someone to whisper sweet nothings to, someone to always be here when I'm blue, someone to sing my favorite love song, someone to tell me I'm right when I'm wrong, someone who will always care, someone who loves the feel of my hair, someone whose hand always finds mine, someone to be my sweet Valentine, someone to sit and watch late night TV, someone to remind me that everything has beauty, someone to just not give a damn, someone who won't try to change who I am, someone who will look up at the sky, someone who won't just fall, they'll fly, someone to be there to catch me, someone I see when everything seems blurry, someone to see when I awake, someone who gives more than they take, someone to dream about at night, someone who makes me smile with all of my might, someone to be here when I cry, someone I know will miss me when I die, someone who knows when I need a kiss, someone to smile about when I reminisce, someone to write love poems to. But fuck all that. What I really want is you. Oh! I mean, it's... like, from a purely editorial point of view, like, timing is way off, but, like, the bones are there. Also, love putting out what you want into the world. I'm so glad I have these poems. Like, I'm so glad I have these poems. I think this is a really beautiful poem. And really cringe. Really cringe. Thanks so much for listening to this episode, guys. I think I'll be back in about 2 weeks with probably the next diary in this order. Maybe I'll switch it up, not sure. So happy so many of you are listening. I get these little email notifications telling me, like, you had so many downloads this week. And it's growing, which is good. I mean, it's going in the right direction, right? I'm so glad you're listening. Thank you so much. I love you all. And if you are someone who wants to build a writing practice, I help people write books and build dreams every single day. And you can find me at www.doulaofwords.com. Okay, big love, everybody.